What's up, guys? Matt Brown here with Stephen Andress, and we are going to take a little bit of a different approach here as we head into the PGA Championship at Southern Hills. Everybody's telling you who to bet. We're going to tell you who not to bet. Do not waste your money on these guys right here. And of course, we'll have tons of content letting you know who will make our betting card as well. You want to follow Stephen on the Twitter machine at Stephen Andress1. You want to follow me at Matt Brown M2. And of course, as always, go ahead, hit the subscribe button and let us know in the comment section, who are you fading? Who do you have zero interest in putting even $1 on this week at the PGA Championship? And Stephen, I'm going to kick things off here, and I'm going to start at the top of the betting board, and people are going to look at me and they're going to say, Matt, what the hell are you talking about? And yes, my number one guy, do not put any money on Jon Rahm this week. And listen, if you take a look at these odds, Stephen, 12-1 at most of the books, 11-1 at Caesars and DraftKings. He is super, super short. And what we know about this course, there are going to be really good shots that end up being bad shots. There's a little bit of Augusta National in Southern Hills where if you don't hit the right tier, the ball is going to funnel off. It's going to trickle off. We've seen Jon Rahm kind of get back to that 2018, 2019 Jon Rahm a little bit at times here in 2022, get super frustrated, let his emotions show, certainly letting his anger get the best of him. And then also, let's talk about these around the green numbers with Jon Rahm. He is awesome everywhere except around the green. And if these balls are trickling off and funneling off, and we think we're going to have a ton of guys having to chip on and save par by, do whatever it takes to kind of scramble and get things done. Listen to this. 70th in this field, strokes gained around the green over the last 50 rounds. 91st in this field over the last 36 rounds. 131st in this field, strokes gained around the green over his last 24 rounds. And if you just look over, if you just want a time frame, not even rounds, over the last 12 months, he is 79th in this field in strokes gained around the green. I think this tournament is going to be won on guys who are able to save themselves around the green, guys who are able to turn bogeys into pars because they are able to chip up close to the hole. And so Jon Rahm, and especially at these very, very short odds, I cannot recommend putting any money down on him this week.
I don't disagree with you. I think John Hasselbauer and I had a discussion about whether or not he actually should be a co-favorite at the top of the board with Scotty Scheffler, considering how many times each has won over the past year. So I agree with you there. And my first guy that I won't be betting on in this tournament kind of fits a similar mold there, but just at a different point in his course form recently here. And it's Bryson DeChambeau. Like Rahm, he hits the cover off the ball, but he's going to struggle around the greens. And as we record this right now, it looks like barring a setback, he would play in this tournament. And I think a lot of people are going to be tempted to just play the number on Bryson because it wasn't too long ago that his outright odds weren't too far behind Jon Rahm, right? When he was healthy and contending in these majors, winning the US Open. So, I mean, he's anywhere from 95 to 100-1, depending on where you look right now, is Bryson DeChambeau. And he's out there tweeting videos from his backyard with 342-yard carry on his TrackMan. So he's at least hitting the ball a mile like he was before his surgery. But if you just look at what he is around the green, just historically, it's bad. And as you mentioned, this course, Southern Hills, is really going to emphasize that because there are going to be really good iron shots that do not get rewarded, and you're going to have to scramble. Tiger Woods has been reportedly spending the majority of his practice rounds getting shots up from around the green, and his pitching and his chipping and his scrambling, understanding how important that's going to be at this particular major championship. And Bryson DeChambeau, over his last 50 rounds, ranks 132nd in strokes gained around the green in this field, 96th in bogey avoidance. He's just not very good with those one-length shafts when he gets a wedge in his hand. He's not comfortable with it, and he's going to have to be to avoid bogeys in this tournament, and I don't trust him to do that. I think he's still going to hit it a mile if he's in. I think he's going to have a lot quote-unquote shorter club, even though he's using the one length, but he's going to have wedges in his hand where a lot of guys might have some middle irons. But That doesn't mean he's necessarily going to get rewarded for that.
My second guy is a guy that I love to bet. And if you guys have followed along with our golf content, you guys know I love to bet Viktor Hovland. I might have bet Viktor Hovland more than anybody in the United States of America over the last 2 years. But listen, this course, this setup, and what we're talking about right here, being able to scramble, being able to work your magic around the greens is definitely the Achilles heel for Viktor Hovland. On top of that, he can't putt. So you have a couple of different things that are working against him here. And he relies so heavily on his iron play to where he doesn't have to sink long putts, and he doesn't ever have to chip because he's so good with the irons. The problem is, as Stephen just mentioned, as I was talking about, good iron play might not even be rewarded here. One, not only because of the undulations and the different levels and things like that of these greens, but also, as of right now, projected wins as well. And so you can hit a nice ball. It catches a gust and that thing ends up, 30 feet from where you thought it was going to end up as well. And so you look at Viktor Hovland, the numbers are even worse than I read you for Rahm. If you look at Hovland over the last 50 rounds, strokes gained around the green, he's 148th in this field. There's only 156 golfers in this field. He's 148th in this field. He's 149th in the last 36 rounds. He's 148th in the last 24 rounds. And again, if you don't like the last rounds, if you just want a time frame, over the last 12 months, he is 136th in this field in strokes gained around the green over the last 12 months. Listen, I love Viktor Hovland. This course, this setup just isn't for him.
I feel you. I think we're sensing a common theme here, Matt. Guys that aren't comfortable chipping around the greens, right? That's going to be a huge emphasis this week. As it turns out, is similar to what it was last year on a coastal course for the PGA Championship when Phil Mickelson was able to, to some degree, chip and putt his way to a PGA Championship at 200-1 odds. So the other guy I'm going to not really have any bets on this week is, I think, another guy who, given the outright number we're being offered on him, a lot of people may be tempted to bet him, and it's Brooks Koepka. Two-time PGA Championship winner. Obviously, most of you who bet golf understand that we typically just ignore him when it's outside of major season, but he comes to play during the majors. I'm not necessarily subscribing to that narrative in this particular PGA Championship, despite the fact that you can get him as good as 45-1 right now in the outright market. I'm going to be looking to fade him, just like Deshambo, looking for some head-to-heads to go against Kepka. I don't think this is the same situation for Kepka as it was last year when he almost won the PGA Championship and lost basically in a duel to Phil Mickelson. At that point, he won the Waste Management Phoenix Open that year. He had another T2 at the Concession, another tough course that emphasized second shots. This year's different to me. And he's talked about leading up to this event and in the weeks and months ahead of it, that he's embarrassed about his world golf ranking and that he's been trying to get back to healthy and good golf since some injuries. And I don't subscribe to the narrative that he hasn't cared about these other tournaments he's been in. I think he has been trying to improve, and it just hasn't been working out. If you look at it, obviously the Phoenix Open is a course that really sets up well for him. He's historically performed very well there. But outside of that, some of these major tournaments missed the cut at the Genesis, missed the cut at the Players, missed the cut at the Masters, had a couple of top 20s at the Honda and the Valspar. But these major tournaments in really difficult conditions with huge purses, he has not performed well. And he also has struggled around the green like these other guys we've talked about. He has some distance off the tee, but over his last 50 rounds, he's outside the top 90 in this field in both strokes gained around the green and also bogey avoidance. In his last 36 rounds, he is still outside the top 100 in strokes gained around the green. So all of these things combine to me not buying the narrative that he can just flip a switch and contend again at this PGA Championship.
My final guy is, listen, I know you want to have money on it. I know you don't want to be the guy that if Tiger Woods puts it all together, that you are not able to celebrate with half of the other betting public out there because you have money on Tiger Woods. This money is coming in on Tiger Woods to the point, listen, guys, he is down to 60-1. at a few of the books out there. This is absolutely absurd. He should be triple digits in this tournament. And this has nothing to do with Tiger as a former champion, as all of this. Like, listen, the fact that he's even able to tee it up here is amazing, but we have to be paying the right odds for a guy that, again, I can go back over his last 36 rounds. So this isn't even just, we understand he was dealing with injury and all that, but I can go back over Tiger's last played 36 rounds, and you can see that his statistics over the last 36 rounds are just not adding up whenever you put him comparatively against these guys in this field. You're talking about a guy who's at 60-1 when you can get Sam Burns at 50-1. You can literally get a guy in Terrell Hatton at 60-1, Matt Fitzpatrick, Joaquin Neiman, all these guys in that 60 to 50-1 range before you would ever put $1 on Tiger Woods. And again, this is another course. It's a long, long course. It's not that Tiger's not long anymore. He's just not as long as everybody else. Getting to these par fives is going to be really, really tough for anybody, much less Tiger, specifically come day 3 or day 4, if he is able to make the cut at this tournament. And that's the big thing here, Stephen. It's not that Tiger can't have a good round at the PGA Championship. I don't think he can have 4 good rounds, and it's going to take 4 good rounds at this tournament because it's going to be a grind from the top to the bottom. One bad round here could put you out of contention. You just need to struggle for pars. Par's going to be a good score, and you got to move on here. And I don't think Tiger, in his physical condition, is going to be able to get that done as well. And especially at these betting odds, guys, listen, there might be a time to bet Tiger down the road. It isn't this week.
We bet him at plus money in the Masters field to make the cut, Matt.
Yeah.
If you're offered the same thing in this tournament, how do you feel about it? It's tough, right? Because this is like double the size field as the Masters.
And I'm on. It's a huge field, and then also the familiarity with Tiger and Augusta had me feeling pretty good about that. To where even with a deteriorated skill set, that he would be able to figure it out, right? This course, completely different setup. And then also we're talking about the conditions themselves. If the winds are even close to what they are projected, I just don't know if Tiger's going to be able to get it done. So it's probably just a complete fade for me on Tiger this week.
My last guy that I will not be betting on in any way, shape, or form in the 2022 PGA Championship is Louis Oosthazen, which has been a bit of a darling in the golf betting world over the past couple of years. In 2021, he had 3 top 3 finishes of the 4 majors, including a T2 at the PGA Championship. Going back to 2020, he also had a 3rd place finish in the US Open. So we're talking about 4 of his past 8 major championships where he's been a top 5 guy in the field. I just think 2 factors in this particular tournament at this particular course work against Louis Oosthuizen. And the first is that he had to withdraw from the Masters just a month ago with an undisclosed injury. We don't know the severity of it. We don't know what kind of shape he's in. Combine that with the fact that this course is going to favor long hitters, and Louis Oosthuizen is not a long hitter. He's outside the top 100 in driving distance. So with wind swirling as well potentially in the forecast this week, that's even going to make it even tougher for him to catch up after some, being behind some of these other players in the field that can bomb it. So he is a pretty good player around the green, but if he's not going to be able to mash the ball like the best players in this field, it's going to be really difficult for him. We don't know if he's healthy. And despite the fact that he has, cashed some top 10 tickets in recent majors and done very well in head-to-head markets, I don't care that he's 60-1 in outrights right now, 80-1 even you can find on Louis Oosthuizen. He's a sweet swinger, but I don't think this sets up for him in this particular tournament at this particular course.
Guys, we have an awesome preview over on the site. Go to thelines.com. Check it out. We will continue to put up coverage all week long here on the YouTube channel. So be sure and check back early and often. You'll get my plays. You'll get Steven's plays. You will get Brad Allen's plays. Of course, we'll have John's full article of his betting card up over at the Lines as well. So we will keep you up to date on everything that's going on here for this tournament. I mean, we are extremely, extremely excited about the second major here, and hopefully we can all make some money. Let us know in that comment section, who's your fade of the week, and whether it's because you don't like the way they're playing, or maybe it's just the betting odds just don't match up with what you feel they're sitting at right now in their current state. Let us know in the comment section. Hit that subscribe button, and as always, good luck on all your bets.